On a quiet morning in a California harbor, a luxury yacht drifted back to its dock, completely empty. No signs of a struggle, no blood, no bodies. The couple who owned the boat had vanished somewhere in the open ocean after inviting strangers aboard for what they believed was a simple test ride. What happened next would become one of the most calculated and terrifying betrayals ever committed at sea.
And so the story doesn't lose you. I've added some eerie gameplay in the background. Enjoy. This is Unsolved Files, where we explore real, chilling cases from around the world, bringing you new stories twice every week. Before Tom Hawks ever set foot on a yacht, he was known as a disciplined, structured man. He worked as a probation officer in Arizona, a job that demanded patience, firmness, and a belief that people could change. Tom was the kind of person who followed routines, who believed that if you worked hard long enough, life would eventually reward you. Jackie was different, softer, warmer, and more intuitive. She had a quiet strength about her, the kind that didn't need to announce itself. Friends later described her as deeply loyal, family-oriented, and emotionally generous. Where Tom was steady and grounded, Jackie brought lightness and optimism. They met later in life, when neither of them was chasing drama or excitement. What they were looking for was peace, stability, someone to grow old with. Their connection wasn't instant fireworks. It was something slower and deeper. Conversations that lasted longer than planned, shared values, a sense that being together made the world feel less complicated. There was one quiet heartbreak Jackie carried with her, one she rarely spoke about. Years earlier, a serious accident had left her unable to have children of her own. It was a loss that never fully healed. Friends later said Jackie had mourned a life she'd imagined but would never get to live, birthdays she wouldn't plan, lullabies she wouldn't sing, a child she would never hold. But instead of letting that grief harden her, it softened her. When she married Tom, she poured that love into his children, choosing to become a mother not by birth but by devotion. And when she found out she was going to be a grandmother, something inside her finally felt complete, like a missing chapter was about to be written. That future was so close, and she never saw it coming.
Tom Hawks, 57, and his wife Jackie, 47, were an adventurous couple from Prescott, Arizona. He had worked as a probation officer and bodybuilder. She was a devoted homemaker who helped raise Tom's children from an earlier marriage. Together, they had spent years frugally saving for their dream retirement. Eventually, they quit the 9-to-5 grind and moved aboard their teak-trimmed yacht full-time. Day by day, Tom and Jackie lived the life they had imagined, cruising the Pacific and Sea of Cortez, fishing, diving, kayaking, and chasing sunsets from port to port. Every inch of the Well-Deserved felt like home. It still smelled of Jackie's cooking and held their favorite movies on the TV. They called the boat Well-Deserved for good reason. It represented decades of hard work finally paying off. When their daughter-in-law announced a baby was on the way, the couple decided to anchor their wandering life. Tom and Jackie aimed to return to Newport Harbor, sell the yacht, and be near their first grandchild back home. In that moment, the horizon was bright with the promise of new beginnings for the Hawks family. By fall 2004, the Well-Deserved was on the market. The announcement caught the eye of a young Long Beach couple, Skylar DeLeon and his wife, Jennifer. The DeLeons were thousands of dollars in debt and living in a converted garage behind Jennifer's parents' house. When they saw the ad for the well-kept yacht, a plan began to hatch. In reality, the DeLeons had no legitimate means to buy a yacht. He had even spent some time acting as an extra on Power Rangers and in commercials. But to Tom and Jackie, they seemed like eager buyers. Tom and Jackie invited the couple, who came with their 9-month-old baby, aboard for a test sail.
Skylar presented a briefcase stuffed with cash, along with a stack of signed documents and even a notary certification claiming he was buying the boat outright. Having observed Skylar's pregnant wife and child smiling on the deck, the Hawks felt reassured. It seemed like an ordinary sale in the making. The two couples agreed on a sea trial for November 15, 2004 to finalize the deal.
Early on November 15th, Tom and Jackie led Skylar, Jennifer, and their friends out of the harbor for the promised sea trial. They departed under clear skies, the cockpit alive with conversation and the gentle hum of the diesel engine. But as the hours passed, the hush of the ocean grew eerie. By dusk, the well-deserved drifted back to its dock, yet Tom and Jackie never returned. Unbeknownst to anyone on shore, this day would end in horror. According to later testimony, once the boat was a safe distance offshore, Skylar and his accomplices struck. The couple was overpowered below deck. They were bound with zip ties, gagged, eyes and mouths covered with tape, and held in a lower cabin. One by one, Tom and Jackie were dragged topside. In the main cabin, each was forced at gunpoint to sign paperwork transferring the yacht into Skylar's name, fingerprints and all. Jackie begged for mercy, pleading that they had trusted their guest. He had even brought his baby aboard. She cried out that she and Tom were retiring, not criminals, but Skylar had no mercy. At sea, Tom and Jackie were tied together back to back, hands still bound. With their ankles attached to the anchor chain, the couple was unceremoniously lifted from the deck. In one final act of desperation, Tom managed to kick Skylar, sending him stumbling into a deck chair. Kennedy, the third man on deck, punched Tom hard in the face, staggering him on the spot. In that instant, Skylar yanked the anchor overboard while Kennedy gave one last shove. Into the ocean they go, the prosecutor later reconstructed in court. Jackie and Tom Hawks vanished beneath the waves that night, and no one ever saw or heard from them again. All that remained was the storm-tossed silence of the sea and the newly won freedom of their killers. When the yacht coasted back to Newport Beach that evening, first responders found the boat eerily intact. Tom's favorite Hawaiian shirt was still hanging in the cabin. Jackie's hat lay on the bridge. There were no obvious signs of struggle above deck. The engine and navigation systems were unharmed. It was as if the occupants had vanished into thin air. Back on shore, the Hawks family grew anxious when Tom and Jackie didn't call home. By November 26th, even their bank became alarmed. Someone in Mexico had tried to withdraw from their account. Tom's brother, Jim Hawk, worried by these strange occurrences, left a note with his phone number on the helm of the Well-Deserved, asking any would-be buyer to contact him if he had news. Police were officially called in. Detectives noticed the Well-Deserved itself had returned without anyone to operate it. Nearly a month later, a retired couple in Baja California reported finding the missing Hawks' silver Honda CR-V parked beside a mobile home. The car's owner said he didn't know the Hawks. It had been handed to him by someone, Skylar De Leon. At that moment, one detective later said, any possibility that the Hawks were still alive died right there. It was a grim confirmation. Something terrible had happened on that boat. Detectives combed the Well-Deserved for clues. In a cabinet below the helm, they found a Target receipt dated just 2 days after the disappearance. The purchase had the telltale items of a cleanup kit, huge trash bags, bleach, and even antacid pills. It was as though someone had prepared to erase the evidence. One detective dryly noted, if I was going to kill somebody, I'd have my clean kit, bags to get rid of evidence, bleach to wipe down the scene, and maybe Tums to settle my stomach after killing some poor people. What really caught investigators' attention was who had bought those cleaning supplies. The surveillance photos from Target showed not Skylar, but his father-in-law, Steve Henderson, lining up with the card. Henderson calmly explained he was purchasing supplies because the De Leons had volunteered at a nearby church to clean something. Police met Henderson at the church, where Skylar and Jennifer cheerfully greeted them, claiming they were just as worried about Tom and Jackie's disappearance as anyone. Jennifer and Skylar acted the part well.
Jennifer even told bystanders she was really concerned, her eyes welling up as she mimicked helplessness. Skylar echoed every word, blaming their worry on having belongings in the missing couple's house. Behind the facade, detectives saw through the act. Skylar had no alibi. He insisted he had paid cash for the yacht, presenting the family with a briefcase of bills and document proof. He claimed Tom had counted it, took the keys, and drove off in the couple's Honda, the last time Tom and Jackie Hawks were seen. But the crooked tally and the fumbled bank record told a different story. The money had come from illegal sources, and Skylar was on probation for an armed burglary at the time. Despite Skylar's confident account, holes in the story were growing by the day. The supposed buyers provided clean bill of sale paperwork, complete with signatures and notarization, but Travis, a family friend handling the Hawks' finances, knew the couple. Tom would never sign away their dreamboat so casually. There had been zero deposit moved into Tom and Jackie's bank account when the supposed sale happened. Tricia Schutz, the family's trusted financial manager, knew they would have deposited the money if the sale were real. Meanwhile, Tom's sons held vigil. The return of their father's car from Mexico was a hopeless signal that this was not a simple missing person case, but a crime. Under pressure, Skylar and Jennifer started to contradict each other. Patrols watched as the De Leons showed police the boat buying papers. They had checked every box except one, an authentic transaction. Eventually, the pieces fell into place. The well-deserved test run had been a trap. In March 2005, one of the insiders finally cracked. Alonzo McCain, the friend Skylar had brought along on the boat that day, quietly flew home from Mexico and confessed. McCain told authorities that he was on deck during the crime. He confirmed that Skylar and an associate named John Fitzgerald Kennedy had physically tied Tom and Jackie to the anchor and thrown them overboard. He described each brutal moment, from the initial ambush to the final shove into the Pacific. Armed with McCain's testimony and the forensic evidence gathered, police arrested Skylar De Leon and Jennifer Henderson. Soon after, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, a Long Beach gang member who'd been waiting at a nearby marina, was picked up as well. Each was charged with first-degree murder for what prosecutors called a murder for financial gain scheme. Justice did not come swiftly. The trial stretched over years as details emerged. In late 2006, Jennifer Henderson became the first to face a jury. A montage of photos showing Tom and Jackie's smiling faces was projected in court, forcing the jurors to confront the humanity of the victims. Prosecutors portrayed Jennifer as cold-hearted and calculating. She had even brought the couple's baby on board to earn their trust. Just 4 hours after closing arguments, the jury found her guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. In 2007, she was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. Next came Skylar's trial. De Leon was tried jointly for the Yacht murders and another 2003 killing, the unrelated John Jarvie case. But during the closing arguments, his lawyer finally admitted what everyone by then believed. Skylar was guilty. The jury convicted him of the murders of Tom and Jackie Hawks, noting the special circumstances of killing for profit and multiple victims. On November 6, 2008, they recommended the death penalty. On April 10, 2009, Judge Frank Fassel formally sentenced Skylar De Leon to death. Shortly afterward, John Fitzgerald Kennedy went to trial. After less than 3 hours of deliberation in early 2009, he too was convicted of the 2 counts of murder. Like Skylar, Kennedy received the death sentence on May 1, 2009. Both men were automatically sent to California's death row. Finally, light fell on the other accomplices. McCain, who had cooperated with prosecutors, pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and related charges. In June 2009, he received a 20-year sentence for his role in holding the couple on deck. The last man implicated, Myron Gardner, had refused to participate and merely introduced Skylar to Kennedy. He pleaded no contest to being an accessory after the fact and received credit for time served. He walked free after about 4 years. By mid-2009, the courtroom drama was over, and the wheels of justice had ground their toll. Skylar DeLeon and John Kennedy face execution. Jennifer Henderson is locked away for life. The brothers of Tom Hawks collected the well-deserved, held as evidence for all those years, and reluctantly decided to sell it, a crime scene for a new owner. If you like this kind of content, hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel more than you think.